Hello guys, how you doing today? Welcome to another beautiful episode of the Billionaire Habits. And today I have a very special guest, somebody most of us don't know of, but we know of his company, Mr. Godwin Ehigiamusoe. I hope I pronounced it right. Okay. He's the founder of LAPO Microfinance Bank. Now I know you know that one, but him as a person, you probably are getting to know of much recently. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Welcome.
Good. Yeah,
welcome.
Thank you.
What is an old money like you doing on a podcast? This is not your generation kind of thing.
I think I even have some issue with the old money thing.
Okay.
I have issue with the old money thing. That when people tell me, say, "Oh, yeah, you better to that." I say, "Oh well." What I've successfully done, I will accept that. It's probably helping a large number of people to create money.
Yes.
To create wealth, and that for me is more fulfilling, and of course, I would say edifying.
What's the meaning of the word LAPO?
LAPO stands for Lift Above Poverty Organization, where I will first always say that it's a mission statement.
Wow.
You know, that you're going to do everything, provide all services that will ensure that low-income people, if you like, call them poor people, are able to walk their way out of poverty. So, more than 30 years ago, I came up with that name to lift people above poverty, Lift Above Poverty Organization, LAPO.
Why was that important to you?
It was important because the context and of course, the time. Most of the challenges we have to the economic in nature actually became obvious in the early 1980s. Specifically in 1982, we experienced a drop in the oil export because of the oil glut in the international market. And the implication of that was that it was reduced revenue for the government. And that led to a point where the government at various levels were unable to meet their basic obligations. And I remember then that the following year, was precisely the same year, the then President Shagari came up and with what they call austerity measures. They were actually measures to see how they would deal with the situation. I would say that probably they were successful. That's by the 30th of December, 1983. The government was overthrown.
Yes.
And the new government came in and dealing with the economic situation and of course by implication poverty level was a main issue. And eventually that government went away and the next one came. That wanted to address the economic problem in this way. It came up with what was put forward then, prescribed by the International Monetary Fund, what we call the Structural Adjustment Program, SAP. And the thing was that the central components of SAP were this: devaluation of the national currency, in our case, Naira. Okay, rationalization of workforce in the public sector. That actually was like, a good way of talking about retrenchment. Then you had, we started talking about removal of subsidies in essential services and all that. So the cumulative
So are you saying what we're experiencing now has happened before?
Of course. No, they actually had their root in that time.
Wow.
So the cumulative effect of the implementation of structural adjustment program were this. There was a spike in the level of poverty, both in spread and in severity.
Wow.
So it was at that time working as a cooperative officer, Gwashiko, now in data.
Okay.
Because when I left the university, I was very clear what I wanted to do and where I would work. I think that's a different thing. But what came out was that it was at that point, that was my non-governmental response to the spike in the level of poverty. I think statistically, if I can remember, the incidence of poverty, if you call it, the rate of poverty moved from about 18% to about 48% within 2 years or 18 months.
Jesus.
So that was where my response was what I called Lift Above Poverty Organization.
So you're saying LAPO started in the 80s?
Yes. 1988, 89, towards the end of 80. But essentially, it was a non-governmental organization. Okay? So the beauty, to understand fully that LAPO was basically a response to the spike in the level of poverty was the way I conceptualized the organization. LAPO was a well thought out organization, So I conceptualized poverty as an octopus with various tentacles. And for me, identify 3 major tentacles or manifestation of poverty. 1, material deprivation. You don't have money. That's what people think is poverty. Oh, you don't have money, there's nothing. The second is poor health. Health is a factor in poverty. Okay? If a health situation and poverty tends to look like cyclical, if you don't have, if you are not healthy, you are not likely to be able to. Okay. And if you don't make money, you are getting poverty. So the third one for me was social exclusion. I will explain this. The poor person has very low self-esteem. Okay.
Very true.
And that low self-esteem can actually have implication or diminishes their potential diminishes the chance of realizing their potential. So it's again cyclical. So those were the 3 things LAPO was set to do. And therefore, we used microcredit, which we call microfinance today, to address material deprivation. Give them money for their businesses and like that. We use health awareness program. We were very powerful during the period of the HIV AIDS. Because we give them money, we earn their trust. And it was possible for them to do tests and reveal their status. So we organize women who were first into what we call support group. And you provide, services for them. So, and then the health awareness program. The social empowerment program to address the issue of low self-esteem. To fully understand this, I'll give you one of our services or product, if you like. It was called JET, Gender Environment Leadership Training. Gender Environment Leadership Training. It was a 2-day program. We go to the villages. We use stories, use drama, and all that to be able to enable the poor women to understand that they are women, yes. They have some customer traditions that tend to work against them. They are poor, yes, but they still have some potentials. I remember that when we do evaluation of that training at the end, and the women will invariably tell you, you open our eye.
Wow, that's sweet. That's really sweet. But what's your background? Your personal? Were you born? What's your?
Okay. Yes, that is also very interesting. I think many people believe, like in my memoir, where I has tried to explain, many people think that taking a lifelong engagement in poverty alleviation using microcredit probably was a reflection of my background.
Meanwhile, that's not true.
Exactly. No, that's not true. I will tell you one thing I would say is not true. I was born in 1958.
Okay.
August. But my father built a story building in May of 1958.
Wow.
So even in Benin then, we were not in Benin, we were just about 30 kilometers outside Benin, my community. Even in Benin, I don't think you have more than 20, 30 story building.
Wow.
So that's explain that is not true.
Yeah.
But the question you now ask, why? If that was not a factor, what were the other factors? I think the factor was the fact that very early I got exposed to national issues. That was facilitated by my primary 5 teacher, Mr. Bernardo Sage, who at that time required that the pupils will put pens together and we buy a newspaper.
Wow.
And that newspaper was Nigeria Observer, and it's only on Wednesday. Wednesday because that was where you have the children page.
Okay.
So by the time I went to secondary school, I was addicted to reading newspapers.
Wow.
And what that did for me was that I was able to aware of
the social
issues,
challenges,
personalities who were talking about, the welfare of the people, the challenges of the people. Tertiary, for instance, and all that. So by the time I stepped into the university in 1977.
What university?
University of Benin.
Okay.
In 1977, I was sufficiently aware about the challenges of the people. So it was very easy for me to join and eventually lead an association of students that were committed to organizing symposia and all that on how do we enhance the condition of the masses of the people.
Wow. So you weren't from a poor background.
Yeah.
Somebody, I will still continue my thought, but I want to quickly drop this. Somebody has argued that sometimes it's the people God used to deliver people will not come from their midst. In other words, that even historically, people that have been instrumental in changing lives of countries are not from necessarily poor background. You always hear middle class, lower class, you understand that. Meanwhile, sometimes the son of a rich man that comes in and takes the cause of others. And we can see it even in the Nigerian story. A lot of people don't know that Ojukwu's father was at some point the richest man in Africa. That people like Awolowo were not in any way poor from poor families, or they may be middle class, but are certainly from upper middle class in terms of their parentage and all that. Have you noticed that, and do you agree with that?
Yes, I think you have a lot, of that, whether even in the scriptures and whatever, you have situation where God eventually used people who are in the valley rather than those who are on the hill. If you look at David in the Bible was actually forgotten by the parents. Joseph was not number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. He was number 11. So that's it. And when you come to our context, I think we begin to look at what are those things that could explain that. But when you talk specifically about addressing people who are in poverty, you obviously need someone who probably is not within that level to lift. Like I tell people, you need to be up before you can lift people. You need to be up. You can't be with the people down and you are lifting. So it's not going to be possible. So you need to have some capabilities, which they don't have. That's why they are poor. To be able to, first of all, point the way. Secondly, design processes. And thirdly, to be able to act. But what therefore is required is that in spite of your higher status, you must be able to develop competence that will enable you, enable you to engage them, and enable them to actually see you through a lens of sincerity, that you are sincere.
Wow. And I think that's very important, because we are having a generation of people from maybe affluent families, sometimes practically lost, It's as if their parents lived their own life and their own together. And so the children are struggling to find purpose, sense of fulfillment. They're trying to find their own narrative, their own story, their own, angle to issues. For parents like yourself, how do you think, because that's obviously what you benefited, where your parents were not in any way poor, but you took up the cause of poor people. How do you think parents can train, who are affluent, successful, can train their children to become socially impactful in spite of coming from a wealthy home?
From 1 million. Well, it is, first of all, there's need children, the parents to intervene in terms of bringing them up and all that. In the process of socialization, they were involved right from day one, even before the children begin to be aware of what they are. So actions could be taken at that level. But in most cases, it could also come from the experience of this young or their children. Those experiences could be, out of home, either in the school, you come across in terms of association, even in the media, and begin to hear about people talking about, it is not all about money. That at the end of the day, is that all of us should get better better. Okay?
Yes, absolutely.
And when they begin to get exposed to that, eventually they can. But what parents can therefore do is to be able to look closely at those children and begin to see whether any of them have that interest. If they do, then you become very supportive. I give you an example. One of my daughters was schooling, and she was so excited to tell us, because we have a family WhatsApp, to send to us and say, look, there's a child in Sri Lanka that she's making contribution to her education, and brought the picture of this girl in the school to us. Whereas she's schooling, outside the country. And she was she's in school and making some little donations for the education of a specified, because during the network she used, they specified the person and all that. So when you identify such things, what the parents should therefore do is not only to encourage in terms of courage, but doing that even in terms of material support, to be able to, for the child to go beyond that and do something that could be more impactful. That's the way I tell people. If you want to do good things, fine. If you can do it to one or two person, everybody does that. You have a way of aggregate that. We are helping the society. But I always counsel that you need to push to scale. When I was building LAPO, that was my thinking, and I always verbalize that to my colleagues and my friends.
Scale.
Yes, that's. If you want to make impact on poverty, we should be able to reach a large number of poor people. That was the motivation why we decided to scale up. I jokingly tell people that is the only way you can make impact. Probably the other way, on a lighter mode, you can, wipe away poverty. It's probably to kill all the poor people.
That's not possible.
That's not possible. So the other way is my way. That is try scale up and reach a large number of people.
I mean, how many branches do we have LAPO now, and then how many customer base?
Yeah. We used to use number of branches as a sort of parameter for our growth, but we do realize that with the digitalization and all that was not really. But I think for the bank, close to about 500 or more. Then for the
500 branches,
yes,
really?
Across the country. For the NGO, they have as many as about 315. But like I said, that is no longer really. You could reach anybody with digitalization. For me, at the beginning, it was not about profitability. At the beginning, LAPO, our performance indicators were very clear and few. One, how many women you are reaching, how many poor people, how much are you giving them. It was not about how much they are repaying or whatever and all that. But over time, the whole issue of sustainability comes in. And so what it is that we have our branches effectively in 34 states. When you add Abuja, whether you include all, and I don't know, I don't go into that. But what it is, I think, in Borno and Yobe, we are not probably there. But for the NGO, it's the same thing. So, but what excites me most in LAPO is the fact that if you look at that beginning, where we say we define 3 dimensions of poverty we want to address: health, material deprivation, education, and social empowerment.
Okay.
So we have organization in that chain.
Okay.
For instance, we have one of the well-resourced medical and diagnostic facility in Benin City.
Wow.
On the head. So a few other things.
Okay. One of my curiosity, I mean, I've been seeing LAPO for many years, and I always ask, what does it take to run an organization that is, one, as big as LAPO, 2, is very retail, lower end of the society. Yeah. And you and I know it can be very tough.
Exactly.
Managing poor people.
Yeah.
What does, for somebody watching this and is one day wanting to have a business that can generate profit, but have a large scale impact on the people. What does it take at the level of the founder?
What it takes, and in my own case, at the beginning, there were a few things. The first thing is to understand the ordinary people. When I call the people, you understand them. Mm-hmm. You understand their needs. You understand that. The second thing is to look at the nature of services that you are providing. In our own case, we are providing what I would call small loan, little bits of loan.
Yeah.
So the issue is not even the difficulty in serving the poor people. The issue is the difficulty of delivering little bits of services. Okay, I will explain that for you. It's not only difficult to do, it's also expensive.
Yeah.
Take, for instance, if a bank wants to give out 10 billion naira as loan, maybe 1 or 2 person or 3 persons take that. So they have only 3 persons to deal with, 3 applications to deal with, and to process. But it's a microfinance bank who want to do 10 billion, probably as 100 or 200 thousand naira is going to be thousands of persons to deal with, thousands of applications and all that. So that's difficult. But at the beginning, what we did was simple. We applied the concept of aggregation.
Okay.
So you organize them into groups. Yeah. So if I have 30 borrowers in a group.
Yeah.
And so let's take it the other way. If I had 30 borrowers I want to deal with individually for the purpose of appraisal and eventually disbursement and order. I will visit 30 locations, 30 houses. But if, on the other hand, I put them into a group
and they have like a leader,
I will visit only one place. That is the meeting place.
Oh, wow.
So you see how the cost has been cut down. So the aggregation is very key when you are doing with the ordinary people. The other one is that you fully understand them, who they are. And that you will factor into the training of your staff. You know, but because normally when people come in, I say, you come in and say you want to be a LAPO staff, okay, fine. So we need to train you that this is not a typical banking.
Yeah.
You're going to engage other people. And it got to a point, it was quite interesting and helpful to us, that we decided to actually prioritize the recruitment of children of our clients.
Wow.
Because we train them, we recruit them, probably we send them to function in area where their parents and their mother is not a service user from the area. And so what does that do? Because they grew up in the environment with these people, they can easily serve them. But if you have children from very holistic family, they think that LAPO is like a commercial bank and all that. They find it difficult. We tried it. So that's the first benefit you have. The other benefit for the family is that poor people do not have the social reach to provide access to employment for their children. So we provide them. So we empower the family through salary to their children. So that's what you do. The other one, when you deal with them, is to beyond the training of your staff. This is our experience. Beyond, we train our customers.
Oh. Yeah.
At the beginning, now not much. At the beginning, we have what we call pre-loan training. We realize that you're dealing with people probably who do not have, those type of understanding. So the first thing in the pre-loan training is for them to understand what we are. We are not a charity organization, but we are supporting you. And secondly, to understand our procedures. How do we do our thing? The third part of training was what we call the micro business management training. Helping them to understand how to. The rest be assured that it was not as sophisticated as what they have in the business school. The fact that you pour water in your hand, you pour your palm, cup palm, and you say you hold it so that the water will not. So money is like that. So those type of training so when you put that together, you are able to.
Well, how did you? Were you able to stay off the radar? Because it was simple. It was simple. First of all, let's look at the radar. The first one was about the institution, whether LAPO, how was LAPO able to? And secondly, my person, and of course. I try to explain it this way. Number one, probably was because of the nature of people we serve. Okay.
They are not newsmakers. They are not that. I give you a good example. In 1997, the UNDP gave us about 100 and something thousand naira through the wife of the military administrator of Edo State. So I was going there to go and see. When I got there to collect the check from the wife of the military administrator, you have the TV house, all the journalists and everybody. And I collected that. Are you following it? So I collected that. And they were interviewing me and say, hey guys, because I just come to collect 150,000 from the governor. You guys are here. At this same moment, LAPO is disbursing 400,000 in 2 villages. And nobody hears of that. You heard that. So that is probably because the people we serve were not newsmakers. Yeah. For me, as an individual, I simply just consume in building the institution, because I was a pioneer. So when you pioneer and you're a pathfinder in a sector, there's so much work. You never had any template from local people that you are copying.
Very true. Very true.
So I was so involved. And I tell people that in spite of the fact that the little we have achieved, I have really, really used this body. Probably that was why I didn't have time for publicity. But let me also say, in certain sector, I'm very, very visible. In certain sector, both local and internationally.
Yeah.
Same with the LAPO.
No. LAPO is everywhere. I doubt anybody will even say they don't know LAPO. LAPO is very everywhere. Well, looking back, will you say that you would have preferred to be like a Zenith, all these other who even started, I think, a few years after you have started, but because they decided to go into commercial banks instead of the microfinance, will you say that you wish you had gone their path, or this is the best path?
No, at all. No. First was that I had clarity about what I wanted to do. That if I take you back to when I was in university, already organizing symposia for how to, improve data people. So by the time I joined the civil service of the Bender State, we did a series of, we did exam, series of interview, and eventually it got to the point where you were going to meet with the commissioners of the Civil Service Commission. It's there they finalized that. And they asked me, what do you want to be? If everybody want to be administrative officer, because most everybody want. And I said, cooperative officer. It was a shock.
Cooperative.
Yeah. So it was, somebody was saying, later when it came out, it's like, you're going to go into the rural area. I said, yes. Because when I was in university, I did a vacation job in the cooperative department. And eventually it came to me clearly that's probably where I belong. Because the cooperative society is supposed to be an instrument for poverty alleviation.
True.
Because a typical definition of a cooperative society is it is an economic association of persons with limited means, underlying limited means, who pull their resources together. And from that pool, respective members draw there. For me, that was, when you align that with my ideological clarity about what development is. Because essentially I believe that development in any society is good to have the big guys. The development in society should be measured by the condition of the mass of the people at the bottom of that society. So cooperative was very attractive for me. So it was easy for me to declare that I want to be a cooperative officer. So eventually doing what I did, you could see there's a history. So doing what I did and staying there and doing that, for me, is the most fulfilling thing. I have never wished
otherwise
anything. Yeah.
But will you say it's been, of course, impactful? We know that, but will you also say it's been financially rewarding?
Of course, it is. Yes, it's been financially rewarding because what I love about it is this: you could have what I may call two extremes. If you were doing all charity, this on that and all that, probably there will be no financial reward.
It's true.
That would be one extreme. Of course, there will still some reward. People fulfill for whatever reason. The second one, if you stretch the other side, it's all about naira and kobo. It's all that you become extremely. Okay, that become an extreme. But at times when you go to the mind of some of these people that are extreme on this side wish that, I think it were to be financially. Some people are really rich. They also feel that I need to make impact. And that explains where the rationale for most foundations. People have made all so much money.
Yeah, they want to give back.
They now give back. For me, what I have done in my life, which I'm very, very happy about, is that it's financially rewarding. It's also impactful. So it's about doing good and making money.
What was your worst day in business?
They happen in a small way during the process of growth. What could be? I could easily talked about, those days that really give me a lot of, be happy. Probably my worst day was, it was not purely a business, but it's also business, in the sense that I lost my deputy, who was my deputy in 2000. She was extremely big. She has a combination of, intelligence, energy, and of course, integrity. And those people in business, it's very difficult to have people who have those two, three stuff. So that was quite, a tough time for us, for me. In terms of business setback, I don't think so much.
But have you had experiences that made you to question whether
this is the right? Of course. It was no. I couldn't call it that way. Let me give. I went to a village, Guashuku. Then Adonte, the place called Adonte, and before I went, I sent a message to them that I was going to come. I've disbursed some money. We're going to come for collection, and they should wait. And when I got there was nobody. And truly, when I was coming back from that village to Goshiku, I was wondering, it can't get out of my mind because it was so intense at that time. I'm talking about many years ago, but it was so intense that I can't take it out of my mind. I was wondering whether what I was doing is the right thing.
Yeah. Not with that.
I was wondering. I was really felt bad. I was wondering.
For somebody who wants to start a microfinance bank with the right motive, what would be your advice to them?
This is simple. If you want to do microfinance banking, and of course, some type of businesses that focus on the ordinary people, that you want to do it profitably, you must be able to maintain what I call a delicate balance between head and heart.
Wow.
What I mean is this. If you do microfinance by the heart, you are simply going to have a mindset of, these are poor people, they don't know, why are you asking them to pay, why do you charge interest and all that? And obviously you are heading towards disaster. If on the other hand, you manage it with the herd, spreadsheets, financial spreadsheets, it's also about return and all that, it's about money. You are heading towards disaster. And there are examples in the past few years where people who thought that microfinance is what you could do, like a banking or micro banking, they just collapse. There are those people in the days of the NGOs in the 90s who managed from the heart only, they collapse. So I have been able to
balance
between managing with head and heart.
I mean, the place of micro insurance, I was hearing that from you for the first time. What is that, and how does that compare to microfinance bank?
Well, it's microinsurance. Let me link it together. Then I will explain what microinsurance is. Microfinance is essentially to provide financial services to enable ordinary people to build, to first of all run their businesses and in a way build assets, no matter how little those assets are. Okay? And microinsurance, on the other hand, is also to help the ordinary people to protect that asset. It's just the same way like the big one. The conventional banking gives you money to make business and all that. In the process, you create assets. And the conventional insurance is to protect those things for you. But what we have just simply done, what have been done is this. You take banking from the glass houses to the streets. That is microfinance. Take banking from the glass they build and they take it to the street for a person to seller to get. So it's the same thing. You take insurance from the more or less complicated thing and you take it down to the ordinary people. But the beauty of microinsurance for me, if insurance generally is to help people to manage risk and hedge against losses. Microinsurance does more than that. Ordinarily, the poor people are more vulnerable. They actually need insurance in the first place than the rich people. Because fire in the market can wipe out the entire assets of the poor family. So microinsurance is therefore to provide, policies again that are responsive to their needs, and to help them. So we have the first licensed microinsurance company in Nigeria.
First?
Yes. And if I look at
how many now?
They have, I think they're probably 10 or more now. So there are also conventional insurance providing microinsurance products. If I look back and you ask me, where do you think the impact has been more massive? In terms of reaching a large number of people because of the age and size, LAPO Microfinance Bank has done. But in terms of really touching people, I think our microinsurance company has done much. Let's have a scenario where a woman, something in the marketplace, there's fire in the marketplace and all is gone. And eventually she has an institution called microinsurance to come to her rescue. It could be very, very impactful.
It's amazing how, if we look at how the level of ignorance, because like I said, even myself, I'm just microinsurance, and the fact that the culture also says God is my insurance, God is my protector. I don't need insurance. I don't need. So how were you able to penetrate a lot of these people to adopt insurance?
It could be very difficult. I think it was easier for us because we've already built up some competencies on how to engage, retain, and serve ordinary people. But even on that, it was still very difficult. I think that is giving the general perception of insurance product and the idea of insurance in the first place. And secondly, when you put that in our cultural and social and religious, because the biggest barrier for me, I experienced, to insurance something is socio-cultural. I say that the biggest barrier that insurance companies need to fight is the concept, is the idea of God forbid. You know, you're asking somebody, you buy a new sewing machine,
God forbid.
Can you just install against theft? No, God forbid. And then do you do something for your life? You know, to say God forbid. So, but even at that, from what we have done, and I also try to tell people, is that when eventually you deliver the benefit to the people, that is, you pay benefit, pay it loudly.
Yeah.
Pay it loudly. Pay the benefit loudly. And let other people hear that Sister Clara got her this thing stolen or that, but she got it replaced.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, the companies like Geico Insurance in America, I'm sure you've heard of Geico. Yeah. One of the largest. Warren Buffett happened to be one of the owners, key investors. Is LAPO still limited liability, or is that PLC?
No, it's at the moment it's still a private limited liability. It has not.
Are there reasons why you've not thought of that LAPO?
No, eventually, the microfinance bank obviously will move towards that direction. Again, you have a plan. We have been, engaged by, people from the stock exchange and all that we say, okay, fine, we have our time, eventually we'll do that. But we started, in the capital market, a little get and all that. But eventually, we would definitely want to ensure that a lot of Nigerians have a stake. And the way you can do that is to get to the market. For the microinsurance, I tell my colleagues, especially the younger ones who are managing, that we need to be very, very ambitious. We need to be audacious. Because there's so much in terms of opportunity for that industry. It's endless.
Yeah.
All what we need to do is to get the concept of developing the way of being able to engage, build on that competence we have built within the LAPO Microfinance, to be able to engage them. Because the biggest challenge most people, even microfinance bank, most people face is, how do you engage ordinary people? They are quite different. They are unique.
Customer acquisition.
Yeah, they are unique. At times people say, oh, why not do advertisement and all that? At times that may not be the way to do it.
What's your succession plan for your corporation?
Well, that has actually been activated because I stepped down from managing the bank in 2020. That's 5 years. So they are doing very well. They're even doing better than what we did. So which is fine.
Are your children involved?
No, not yet. But they're working within, the bank. One is assistant general, promoted general manager. She's been with it for about 15 years or more. Wow. Then the others are also engaged in some of these other businesses. But one thing I also feel is that when it comes to children, it's good to be it's good for them to be a part of the business, to understand fully. I love that. I think what is more important, especially when you begin to have a group of companies, is to build their capacity to operate at the board level and the governance. Because governance is becoming more serious. It is not what it was in the past. So board members are beginning to ask difficult questions to the CEOs and all that. The second factor people should also look at is this. A set discharge has demonstrated exceptional capability and interest.
Yes, this part is key.
Yes, then you begin to think about their leadership. But what is generally important is this: never appoint someone in the position of a CEO you cannot fire easily.
Never appoint someone in the position of CEO that cannot fire easily. Wow. Give me your three wealth or money, quotes or advice. 3.
Okay, generalized for money. But I feel money for me is a commodity. If you like, I want to put it, if a commodity that you can apply, you can apply to achieve a goal. Let me explain this, because it's not just this cliche thing for me. Is that money is especially when you are growing or when you are building a business, money is something that you use. You just use it to be able to achieve your goal. I say this from this angle. You can imagine a young person when I'm coming up. Have a theological clarity about how we can make impact. And then eventually you have resources, money, and then you just use it to make sure that you further that goal. That is important. It should be something that you apply.
So money is a tool.
Yeah. Then there is a tool. The second thing is also that money, that's capital, is availeth much when applied, to when you add it to the basic skill of the ordinary poor people. Let me put it this way. Again, this will be interest you as well. And that when I was building LAPO, I came up with what I called 6 operating assumptions. Those things that would define what we're doing. Okay. So one of them was the fact that money makes a lot of impact if added. Money can make impact of poverty if added to the skill, the basic thing of the ordinary poor people.
Yeah.
So that's for me, money can make a huge impact. Finally, that's a higher point when you have had enough, is eventually money at that point, which have made a lot of money. Money at that point is simply to better the world. Because it's no longer about your needs. If you have money, it's no longer about your need. And of course, when you are doing business, you focus on making money. You got to a point you have made the money. So the best thing is to
give it back.
Yes, to give it back. And people call it to give back, yes, which is important, is to say, what can be done? When you are young, people don't have money. Making money becomes a goal. But if you have money, making money is no longer the goal.
The goal could
making impact becomes the goal.
The goal could be,
of course,
giving it away. Well, Mr. Godwin, thank you for coming.
So much. Yeah.
Really appreciate this conversation.
Thank you.
I know people like you hardly do this, but I'm happy you did it because it's the new generation needs to hear.
Yeah.
Some of these conversations from older people like you, and I think it will inspire a lot of people. And thank you for all you do. Thank you for your organization too.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I also want to thank you for what you are doing, especially there are other areas, but particularly on this. Why I do it, and I have done that with somebody about 2 months ago. He has actually heard them. And I told him is that, like you said, we need to be talking to the younger generation. Our experience may not, completely align with the current context. But I always tell people that there are some quality, there are some things that are timeless. Whether 200 years ago, now, and able to come.
Very true.
They are timeless.
Very
so,
true.
One or two things they could pick from, conversation like this. So thank you for creating this opportunity.
You're welcome. Have you authored a book before?
Oh, yes.
How many?
My books are getting to, I think very early now. It's about 4 now, because very early in 1998, people were talking about what is NGO, what is NGO. So I wrote one slim something called Understanding the NGO. So at a point, we were talking about microfinance, at this time, the job was just busy. They were not, but then in 2011, which was a bigger something, issues in microfinance. I wrote that. In 2021, I published my memoir, which is 381 pages. It has received a good review, international and local.
Is it on Amazon?
Yes, it is. But I can get a copy if you also.
I would love to.
Then last year, I published, it's 115 pages, just a small thing called 12 Commandments for Business Owner. And basically, what I was trying to do, each chapter was like a commandment. Chapter 1, for instance, know yourself. Who are you? If you are going to business. 2, money. 3, never treat your people as wood. 4, seduce your customers. Be diligent. The last one that I love, the last chapter is actually never neglect yourself. So most of the people, most business people, when you are running around, you neglect the vital dimension of your life. Physical dimension, social dimension, family dimension, spiritual dimension, intellectual dimension. This is quite an interesting. He has also received a very good review.
I can bet.
So I bought one of your. I bought 1 or 2 at the Port Harcourt. I mean, in Abuja.
Okay.
Yes, I bought some. I was wondering how you have time for.
So I'm not sure if you've gotten this.
Let me see.
I authored with Dr. Cosmos Maduka.
Oh no, I've not.
This is our latest.
Okay. Scaling your business with integrity. Oh yeah, because that is I set up a HIS center in Benin.
Wow.
Launched last year. It's about scaling up. I'm not going to teach people how to start business. I want to teach people
how to scale.
Because the big challenge here. Everybody has too many small business. So I have done it before. So I know the challenges. I know. So that's what so anytime I hear scale up like this, I really. And again, I want to make impact in Benin City first.
Wow.
The target is that within 2 years, I want to assist 5 business people to scale up their business.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Guys, that's the end of another beautiful
episode. Yeah, thank you.
Of the Billionaire Habits series. See you next time. Bye-bye.